Right. Um, Welcome to a new time today for our bi-weekly community sync. Firstly, Happy New Year. This is actually 4 weeks after the last one that we're meeting. We took a winter break. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed their holidays and are back and raring to go. We have a lot in store today, so let's get started. So the agenda is we'll just, we wrapped up a year, and what a year. So we'll quickly do a set of highlights. We'll talk about what's coming in the roadmap and how we're thinking about it, at least within the Union.ai team and any of the core contributors who are helping with the roadmap. Again, the roadmap is completely open, so please feel free to chime in if there are things that you specifically would like in the to be prioritized or would like to contribute to. We would love for folks to either contribute on issues or create RFCs and so on. And then we'll talk about what's coming in January. It's already underway. We just released 0.19 today, and there'll be 0.19.1, which is end of January, early February. And then the most important thing on the day, we have a demo or slash presentation by Paditya from Gojek, who's here. All right, so 2021 highlights. We actually started the year fairly, like, even though Flyte was open sourced in 2020, we really think that the open source year was 2021. We grew the community even in Slack from 100 to 710 plus people, and it's growing. We don't think it's like all the people who use Flyte. It's just people who have some questions who join in. Earlier in the year, last year, we shipped new Flyte Kit Sdk, which is what everybody's using in Python now. We did more than 20 integrations and lots of performance improvements, scaling improvements, recoverability, and lots of new UI features. And I think going forward in 2022, this sets up a fantastic stage for us to do a lot more. And we have a full roadmap. Lots of companies joined in and are using Flyte in production. We actually did lots of contributors made their first commit last year, and it's great to have all of the folks within this amazing community. For the Union.ai team, we actually led a docs bash and a bug bash towards the end of last year, and we also led development of functional tests. And so if you have not seen it, you can go to the README, and we are actually trying to put it in even much more, it's a better place. But you can basically click and see every test that's run nightly, and the latest release version. So 19 will get added over here. And this is a test matrix that we are adding. The eventual goal is every integration also has a test. This test setup itself is open source. So, and if it's not open source, we are actually working on open sourcing it, and anybody could help us contribute to various other cloud platforms to run these tests. These are currently run on AWS and GCP, but if folks have on-prem setups and things like that, we would love to hear about that. All right, and I think the most important thing, as I said, I think I'm really truly proud to be part of this community, mostly because everybody in this community is so helpful. There have been people who, us, like Flyte being an infrastructure tool and catering to a lot of machine learning engineers, it spans in set of, or the users have a varying set of knowledge. Some people have used Kubernetes in the past, while some people have not even used Docker in the past. And I've seen folks help everybody across the gamut, and I've seen as people join in, they learn a lot more, and they have actually asked questions and improved their workflows themselves. And this has been amazing. I think that the community is great. So thank you for everybody for being part of this community, and let's keep up. All right, this is from the LFX Insights dashboard. Flyte. Actually, I forgot to add one thing which is quietly mentioned over here. Flyte is one of the fastest projects in Linux Foundation to have graduated from the incubation state. And this announcement has not yet happened. This is the first time we are actually talking about it in the meetup, but announcement coming soon. What graduation means is it's a top level project that is supported by the Linux Foundation, and also means that there is funding, and we think that the project is here to stay. All right. As for commits, we made about 11,000 commits. I don't know how this metrics is calculated, but I think when I did the math on myself, it's more than 6,000 to 7,000 commits. I think these are individual commits within those commits. And we have about 180 active contributors, with about 50 contributors drifted away this month, and you can see the graph on LFX Insights. And once again, thank you to all the contributors. This does not include every single contributor, so we are really sorry, but this is a compiled list. Please add your names. We try to keep it up to date as and when possible. So, but thank you for everybody who's contributed in any way to the project. All right, so today, as I said, we released 0.19, and going forward, we're doing quarterly minor version bumps, and we are also having a code name for every release. So this release is the Eagle release, and the idea was to actually improve the UI and essentially set the stage for 2022. And so in UI, we've added a bunch of features, and we'll go over them in a bit. In Flyte Kit itself, we had some backend features which are not enabled. They're now enabled. We support all the available versions of Python, including 3.10, just added recently, and much more Pythonic in terms of usage. We a lot of performance related stuff. Great work by Dan. Basically makes it possible to horizontally scale Flyte Propeller now, and it can be automated. Docs on that, please refer to the docs on that. Also, we added, we did a docs bash about 45 plus docs issues, and more coming soon. All the configs are documented. Every config knob existing in the system is now documented. Every important features that were missing in documentation, like how do we egress events and how do you actually react to those events, it's now documented. For example, we could egress events and create a lineage graph in an external system like Amundsen or Data Hub, etc. And more on that also coming soon. Just to go over a couple of the UI features, the UI summary search experience is now released, so you can actually see for a workflow what were the last 10 executions, were they successful or no. If you click on them, it actually directly navigates to the execution itself. The execution detail page itself has improved, and a lot more coming in January. Stay tuned. Moreover, there's a super fast filter that's visual. So if we show in every single workflow page, we show the last 100 executions, and the height of them, their height indicates the time it took to execute that execution. And so if you click on one of them, it directly navigates to that specific execution. One of the features, as I talked about in Flyte Kit, is called cache serialize equals to true. And this is interesting, and it was actually a heavily requested feature. This enables at least once computation of the cache key. So for example, if multiple concurrent executions begin and you would like only one of them to really compute the data set, for example, could be a feature set, could be an very expensive computation, current behavior is that if they all are concurrent, all of them will proceed, because Flyte actually doesn't know which execution might succeed, right? It's possible that there could be other failures. And so it tries to do optimistic concurrency over there, and whoever wins actually writes the cache first. Now, in this case, we have introduced a sort of pessimistic concurrency, or like spin locks. If you enable cache serialize equals to true, Flyte will now wait. If there are concurrent executions that have a similar cache signature, then it'll wait for the first one to complete or a timeout to expire. That way we don't block forever, because it's possible that in a fully distributed system, things could just die, and it's very hard to actually do failure detection. So we introduced the concept of a lose lease in this case. And this is now released. It was released as part of the previous platform release, but now it's part of Flyte. So going forward, you can just put cache serialize equals to true and let Flyte do the rest. We also started, I guess, in the last month, we introduced office hours. Ketan and I man the office hours on Wednesdays in the morning, 7 to 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, and 9 to 9:30 p.m. Pacific time. The calendar invites for those are managed through Add Event, so please add these events to your calendar. The idea is it may not always be Ketan and I, but the idea is that various maintainers from the project will have these 30 minutes available for anybody to drop in, ask questions, discuss ideas, or use cases. It is an open forum, so anybody who has ideas and questions, please join in. We've done about 3 of those, or 4 maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but we've had at least one person join in every single one of them, and I would like to think that we were able to answer a lot of questions. So please utilize this time. There have been times where some people have presented their ideas as well, and we don't record these sessions because these are not meant to be broadcasted, but mostly just a pure face-to-face time for folks. All right, roadmap. So our 2022 high-level plan, basically, as I said, 2021 was the layout. We actually have laid out Flyte so that we can build amazing experiences in 2022. So one of the goals that we're starting with is to provide one of the best ML and data-aware orchestration platform experiences. And in that journey, we want to make Flyte accessible to more users, data scientists, analysts through ecosystem build-out. So there are a lot of ecosystem things that we're working on, and working with partners and other open source projects. And if you have any other ideas, if you would like to contribute to ideas, we would love to collaborate. Moreover, we've heard a lot of feedback about the UI features, and we absolutely have heard it. And one promise we want to make is that we're going to provide one of the most delightful user experiences that any person who's using Flyte gets. We also want to supercharge Flyte data lineage, like really help people understand where the data is getting created, how it's getting used, and so on. And that may be through integration. One of the other things that really worked well, and we've realized and we've got really good feedback on, is how Flyte is seen as an integration platform for various open source MLOps technologies, like for example, distributed training to model serialization, to many other things that we've worked on, feature engineering, etc. Also, moreover, we want to blow past the scale boundaries that we have had in the past, which could be size of the workflow and speed of the execution itself. And you'll see some fantastic work being done in this area. Specifically, we have folks who are running DAGs of the size of 1 million nodes. And there are some people who want to run workflows that only last for a few seconds. And so we'll be attacking both these problems in the year. All right, but with the first month of the year, we actually wanted to begin pretty strong. And one of the first things we're doing is, if you've gone to Flyte Python, you might have seen, oh, why is there so much code? There's only, while the used amount of code is probably only 30%. So Flyte actually has a legacy API that was used by Lyft since 2017 or 2016, 2017. And it's really old, because of which it was made for Python 2.7. And we are completely deprecating it this month. So all of that code will be deleted. It does not impact anybody, any of our users anymore, but it's a good time to get rid of that code. And I think the like Flyte will be way more accessible to contributors after this point. We are also supporting a lot of UI features like dynamic workflow graphs, so visualizing dynamic workflows in the UI, map tasks. We have a brand new experience for map tasks in the UI, and stay tuned. Timeline view, so I think we have had a lot of questions about how things have progressed, and folks wanted a quick way to dive deep into a performance of a tag and figure out which tag took how much time. And so we've enabled real-time tracking for performance in the UI itself. And again, this is going to be V0, and we'll continue to iterate on this. Also, this was a heavily requested item. You should be able to archive all entities within the Flyte UI from projects to executions, and also support for basic personalization. So you should be able to like filter every single entity by what you've created. Along with that, specifically for ML, intra-task checkpointing, it's already in PR. This allows you to actually resume for a retry any model training using previous checkpoints, and all of this is automatically handled by Flyte. This makes using spot or interruptible instances extremely easy and actually efficient, because you don't want really, like, one of the biggest complaints of using interruptible instances that you are now running a model training cycle that takes 8 hours, and it was 7 hours in, the instance was interrupted. So this solves that problem. Moreover, union type and optional type support, and per type variable metadata. This is documenting your variables and data sets and so on. Thank you, Launchpile, for both of these features. Also, one of the big updates in how we handle structured data sets is coming in this month. It should be available in the next beta release. That allows essentially to have very strongly typed, arbitrary shaped structured data sets and backed by PyArrow, and you can actually serialize or persist the data sets into variable data stores. For example, you could use BigQuery as the backing store for your data sets. And this is extremely useful where you're like doing small data set processing in BigQuery, and you want to interoperate between BigQuery queries and pandas data frame and go back to BigQuery. Moreover, lots of updates in shell tasks itself. Thank you, Zavershan, for all the work. We are also working on customizable caching. So this was another feature, like if you use pandas data frame, how do you really cache a pandas data frame? So we allow now client-side computation of the hash or the cache key. Moreover, thank you, Lyft, for multi-architecture support. And all of Flyte snacks will be migrating to the multi-architecture support. This allows running or having multi-architecture Docker images, and then targeting the right architecture in production. So for example, you can have a node pool that's using the Graviton or any of the other cool architectures that use ARM machines, while in some cases it's probably preferable to use x86. And so you can have some other computations going to x86. And lots of docs improvements.